This is The Baseline, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA.
Well, today is the saddest day in my basketball career. There's no doubt about it. And we're talking about a physical force as a teenager that came into this league with a passion for the game, seldom seen. He never took a backseat to anyone in work ethic. Name the greatest two-way players in the history of this game. He's right at the top of the list. The love that's being expressed in this building and around the world was due.
Welcome, everybody. You're tuned to The Baseline. Callie Warrenshaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. This is a tough one. This is clearly not one of our normal podcast recordings. And I mean, with rightly so. The NBA community, the NBA family, and just really our generation has once again been rocked by some really awful and heart-wrenching news with the passing of Kobe Bryant. And I just want to make this clear. You know, normally I would be able to have like a whole bunch of thoughts running through my head and, trying to hype up the exuberance, of the things that we're getting ready to talk about. I really, in all honesty, don't take any pleasure in wanting to do this. As a matter of fact, my partner in crime and I, we struggled with this because this is not really just about news, but maybe in a way, this is kind of a way for us to kind of communicate what we're feeling, as I'm sure everyone is feeling right now, because no one saw this coming. I'm just not even gonna, I'm just gonna let my man come in, where he fits in. Everybody knows my partner in crime, been doing this for years, my man Warren Shaw. And man, I can't tell you how weird this is right now. It's a really weird feeling because just less than 24 hours ago, I was sitting here watching him throw up a tweet, with regards to LeBron James. And this dude, he is only but 3 years younger than me. And I'm already talking about him in a past tense and not in a future tense. And I think that's the part that really gets to me, is all of the things that he's accomplished, man. I respect him. I laud him for it. He's been such a treasure to watch, and also a pain in my ass for all of my Celtic loyalty. But to see this now just, disappear, it just hurts to the core right now, bro.
So this is going to be a somber one, as you alluded to. For us here as basketball fans, junkies, people who've loved the game for as long as we have, and as you alluded to, Kobe's just a year or two younger than me as well too, and this is our basketball lives, our livelihood. We grew up on, in a lot of ways, disliking the man on the court for the pain and turmoil he brought. Because he was so fierce and because he was so good and he was so competitive. And I think it's one of those situations where as you get older, you just understand what it is, who he is, who he was, and why he was the way he was. And for me, sure, in the years he's been retired, I just understand him a lot better than I did when I was younger and rooting for the Celtics and he's hitting shots and things of that nature like that. That part of it is over. Like, we're now looking at Kobe Bryant, the businessman, the family man, and how he brought that fierceness now to his daughters. And his daughter passed away with him as well in this tragic scenario. And leaves behind, Vanessa and 3 other children, who are not going to have a father. And I think that is what hits home here now more than anything else. Life is always bigger than basketball. We have a great time. We have amazing time on our podcast week to week, talking our talk and doing our thing. And we've thrown our subtle shots at Kobe, for who he was, and even made fun, not in a not in a negative way about his fierceness and competitiveness, but in a way that was like, damn, you know what I mean? He never turns it off. And as I was alluding to, like that's the part of him that we will always understand and always respect now, and even more so, as a result of his passing. And this is just a hard day in general. You and I are not elite level media members, right? We do our thing. We've been in the game a little bit, but both of our phones and just blowing up with the news. And that's the type of impact Kobe Bryant had in the world, not just basketball. People who barely follow basketball were texting, my God, did you hear about? And emailing me and the whole nine. And I was doing something else, the day it occurred, but just to see that type of reaction from people who were not even that invested in the game goes to show you how deep his legacy, his not just his fame, but his legacy, what how deep it ran, and how many people and lives he's been able to touch by result of being a basketball player turned businessman, turned elite level father and family man throughout the course of his life. And, there's just not a whole lot that can say that makes sense of what happened here on this Sunday afternoon.
So I gotta share this. This is an ironic story. And I don't know if whether or not it's supposed to mean something. I guess maybe in a way, this is part of the reason why I think we're doing this. We're sharing, our perspective and our thoughts about losing a Kobe Bryant and the impact that it has on us. So yesterday, I'm chilling, with my lady. She forwards me an interesting text message. She's indicated to me that the Brooklyn Museum will be curating the exhibit for the Obama's White House portraits. They're actually taking them, from their housing, their natural housing place, and they're going to go on like a 5-6 city tour in 2020. And when she sent that, I was like, oh, this is awesome, right? Because I would love to be able to see this portrait up close. And so I decided to go and find out the dates of when this was going to take place. Okay, follow with me on this story, guys. So as I'm on there, I see another interesting exhibit taking place. One of our beloved hip hop artists, Mos Def, who now goes by the name of Yasin Bey. He's not in the spotlight anymore as far as it comes to music goes, but as an artist, as an activist, he is very much in the spotlight. And apparently, since November, he has had an exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum, an exhibit he calls Negus, which is a terminology for the word king, a Senegalese terminology, I believe. So I was struck. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, one of my most beloved artists, someone I respect, he has got a thing at the Brooklyn Museum, and I've not known about this. I was like, and I said to my girl, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And it just so happens that today was the last day for this exhibit. I was like, I gotta go. And one of the caveats to this thing was that he was also releasing music that he did for this exhibition, specifically for this exhibition that he has at the museum, that will not be sold, not be streamed, won't be available to anyone. You have to go to the museum in order to listen to his music. And I'm like, this is feeling like a once in a lifetime. Like everything is set up to be like, I need to do this. Like you just don't have all of this happen. I need to do this. So I prepare myself today before we are going to do this show. I'm going to head out to Brooklyn. I'm going to go see this, and I'm going to be in the moment, because that's one of my goals in 2020, be in the moment. And I went there. Luckily enough, because the tickets were sold out, luckily enough, they were still offering same day tickets to be at the exhibit. So I go there and I check it out, and I'm sitting there, and it's in a room. The murals are set up basically in 4 corners, in a circular corner. They give you these wireless headphones like you're in like a silent listening party, and you hear, the pianist come in. He has a world-renowned pianist come in as an intro for the music that he's doing, and you just start staring at the murals. And one of the murals is one that he did. It's called Pleasant. I don't know if you will have an opportunity to see this, if it's because you can't take pictures, you can do anything as far as electronically goes. So maybe one day you'll be able to see this particular mural. But on that mural, on the left-hand corner, is an outline, facial outline of Nipsey Hussle. And the mural spans from one end of the wall all the way to the other. I was so happy in being in it. I didn't care if whether the music was good or bad. I was just in the moment, looking at other people, just kind of being there. And then I come outside. It's like 20 degrees. And then all of a sudden, I see all of these things happening about Kobe Bryant. And I swear to you, man, the first thing that came to my mind is that mural by Yassine Bey. And in my head, I'm thinking, there's Kobe's face on the other side of that mural. And what would our faces look like seeing those two entities span a mural? It's hard to kind of put into context what that would mean to any person, how you live your life. But that was what was going through my mind. I didn't want to see Kobe's face on that side of the mural. But in a way, for me to feel something that makes sense to me about what's just happened, he needs to be on that mural. He needs to help bookend something that feels incomplete. And I need to see that the people that were in that room for Yassine Bey were there for their own fulfillment of being in a moment. We were in a moment from, I want to say, ever since he came into the league in 96, we have been in a moment of learning to appreciate, to understand, to absorb a Kobe Bryant. And we're going to still be taking years to still and try to unpackage and unwrap that. And it's not going to be because of just the things that Kobe Bryant was doing on the basketball court. It's going to be through how Kobe Bryant affected other people in the way that they carry on, in the way that they see the moment, embrace the moment, handle the moment, right? So Kobe's presence, his being, still moves. It still permeates through the people that really wanted to believe in what Kobe Bryant was supposed to mean, not to just them as a player, but as a person. And I think by talking about this now, by kind of giving you this story, hopefully that'll kind of make sense, I guess. I'm hoping. If not, I mean, maybe I've just certified you guys to think that I'm just crazier than ever before. But it's making sense to me about how I needed to be able to, kind of put this in its proper context for me, to be okay with this, because there's still going to be a part of me that's not okay with how this happened. But I can be okay with seeing how a person like Kobe Bryant and the things that I appreciate and love and want to see more of, how that can be interwoven and connected into other things that I love and appreciate, and that maybe other people love and appreciate as well too.
And I think that's where we need to double down, on those kind of cliches, give people the roses while they can still smell them type of thing here. And there's not going to be any shortage of Kobe Bryant tributes, his just salutes to his legacy and what he's been able to accomplish on and off the basketball floor. And I think everyone has the right to do so in their own way. And he wasn't the favorite person of a lot of people. but he was respected by most everybody he's ever come into contact with. And that probably is more important than anything else. You don't have to be liked or loved by everybody, but you should be respected. And he demanded that of you. He was going to and get your respect by the way he played, by the way he lived his life, the way he was a father and was a husband. And we're in a situation now where we're just our basketball family has a serious hole. And I don't sit here and think morbidly about the different things and who's going to go and when they're going to go and all of that. But the fact that our NBA family has lost David Stern this year and now has lost Kobe Bryant this year is tremendously difficult to fathom, for someone who grew up on the NBA with those two individuals at the heart of my fandom at the time. And before I could even take it to levels that I've been fortunate enough to write and to have media coverage and to be on this podcast with you. It's just, I think about these things from time to time and just what both of those gentlemen have meant to even my life. And while I've never met David Stern, I've been in the room with him. I've been at a commissioner's press conference before, and that was amazing. We've both been around Kobe at All-Star games ourselves. I remember going and asking him questions, and even treating me. He treated me great. He was perfect. He answered my question without a hitch, without any snark. And you just knew he understood and wanted people to just respect him for who he was. And in that regard, I think I never waned on that. And like I said before, where we're at right now with the loss of him, and again also the loss of David Stern, I just don't understand. I just don't understand what we're supposed to do, and other than the fact that then to remember them fondly, remember the contributions they gave to this game and to their families, and to the legacy of those who live on and still have basketball as a job. And we can't even count how many people Kobe specifically has influenced when it comes to basketball. How many people praise him as their favorite player, on and off the floor, people in the NBA, outside of the NBA. But within the NBA community, it's very deep, very, very deep. Guys, DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, again, too many. Shaq, there's too many to count that are severely impacted by what he brought, to the game of basketball and what he meant to those individual locker rooms as well. And it's just a sad, sad, sad day. And remember, he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame later this year as well too. And now, will not be there to give what I'm sure would have been an amazing and legendary Hall of Fame speech. And who knows who'll give it, if Vanessa will do it herself or somebody else will pick up the mantle in that regard. But there's nothing but loss right now in the year of 2020 when it comes to our NBA family.
There's still so many things I would love to be able to get off my chest. But I want to kind of piggyback off of something you just said, Shaw. I feel like we're gonna be okay because Kobe Bryant as a person we're gonna be saddened by, but there's plenty of Mambas out there. Okay, I don't know if whether or not this passing now means that it has those Mambas awoken. Maybe someday down the road we can toy with the idea of who's got the Mamba DNA in them, who's got the Mamba gene in them that can carry the torch, right? I mean, there was no question that we would believe, his daughters would carry that if they would continue to play basketball, right? But I think we'll be okay with Kobe being in the game, his spirit, his impact. It'll still be there. There is something that I wanted to bring up, though, that I don't think that gets enough conversation or discussion about Kobe Bryant that I've seen, over the years. And I've been a very big critic of Kobe Bryant in some respects. he's been an awesome basketball player, but he's been a flawed basketball player, right? In his youth, right, he's made certain decisions that have given off an air of where we tend to wonder, whether or not basketball has become an I game and not a team game anymore, right? When too many players are getting too much power. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not using this as a platform to cast aspersions on Kobe. I'm using this so that I can get people to understand that one of the things that we don't tend to do anymore is really take a moment to appreciate the maturation of a person when they've made mistakes. It doesn't matter whether or not the person was right or wrong. It matters the decisions that they made at the time, whether or not those decisions will be short-term or long-term impacts, not only for them, but for the people that are around them. And we often, can go to the beef that Kobe and Shaq have had for years, right? But when Shaquille O'Neal can basically, spend the next couple of hours, throwing out a tweet like, there's no words to express the pain I'm going through with this tragedy of losing my niece and my brother. I love you. I'm sick right now. I'm not going to read the whole tweet. And then have follow up with another tweet after that, where he looks at Shaquille O'Neal. Where he looks at Kobe Bryant as a brother, right? Like no matter all of the issues that they had at the time, at the height of their power, no matter all of the snarred remarks and things that were happening when people would catch him on TMZ, this, that, and the third, at the end of the day, they felt they were brothers. And even if we thought that a lot of it was hype, behind the scenes, they treated each other's family like family. And I think that gets missed, that we don't give enough credit for a person, regardless of whether you think he's a good person, bad person, you love him, you hate him, whatever. If he is doing right by his family, he's doing right by other families, pay that man his respects. And to see Kobe Bryant grow up in that kind of way, where he recognized some of the things that he did in hindsight and can own up to that. Those are the things that I loved about Kobe Bryant on the back end of his career. I didn't care about what Kobe was or wasn't doing on the basketball court. What I cared about was the impact that he was having around the people near him, the way that he reconciled his issues with his wife. And we don't know the semantics of that. But what I'm saying is he always put that family first. He put his family first, right? He never had to be in the spotlight when he knew that time was that he can step back into the shadows, right? He can embrace that. Some players to this day don't know how to do that, Shaw. Some players in their greatness, in their heyday, and outside of it, can't accept the fact that they are not the primary, they're not the center of attention, and they got to manufacture that. That's never been Kobe Bryant. That's never been Kobe Bryant. And he finally let that come out. And I appreciate him for that. And I hope that that has an influence on this generation of basketball players, on this generation of young millennials, entrepreneurs that are going to do things great in this world. Sometimes you don't have to do things, say things to exude that greatness. Let your play do the talking for you. Let your stature do the talking for you. And that to me is something that I don't think gets talked enough about when it comes to Kobe Bryant. It only seems like it gets discussed when he is receiving some kind of accolade or he's out of the spotlight of something, but it should get talked about more, because this has been always the black mark or the plight of the black man, so to speak, in the perception that we don't know how to do those things. And Kobe has been always a pioneer of doing it. He's shown us those steps that you can make these mistakes and learn from them and be better from those mistakes. And I think that he should be he should be solely praised on that effort in itself to be able to do that and it be able to be shown and for us to now recognize that.
I think that's very well said. Honestly, the measure of a man in a lot of ways is how does he learn, how does he grow, how does he make life better for those around him. And yeah, you're right. Kobe was flawed, like we all are, and he had some monumental mistakes in certain aspects. Even some of his personal life as well. But he's grown from that and has become, again, just such a person who he's always a smart dude. He was always that, just through the matriculation of life, became somebody who was remorseful in some aspects where he needed to be, and just completely coherent in each and every moment that he was alive in, and his ability to translate that to be the father that he grew and eventually became, to be a better husband, over the years, to Vanessa as well too, and then again, as just the overall stuff as we've talked about, his impact on the basketball floor. That's the measure of a person. Of a man, of a person. Just how do you get better? How do you make those around you better on a day-to-day basis? And it has nothing to do with putting an orange ball through a round hoop. It has nothing to do with that shit at all. It is about how you make those around you better on a daily basis. And he figured out a way to do that. And I do applaud him, for that 100%. And I think we all have to understand that that is our job on a daily basis. Whatever it is that we're supposed to do, whether you're a garbage man, a basketball player, you play soccer, you're a teacher, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever your profession is, how are you making that better, and how are you making those around you better on a regular basis? And if you're not doing that, then you're doing it wrong. And for us here on the Baseline NBA podcast, I know that this is an unfortunate wake up call in another way, to make sure that we go out here and live our lives to the absolute fullest. And more importantly, to make sure that those we love and care about know that we love and care about them, and not to let those moments waste and wane, and people have to wonder what our feelings and our emotions are, and we can show them with not only with our words but with our actions of trying to make them better, so that they can reach to the highest level of whatever their personal success is supposed to be. And to me, that truly is the Mamba mentality. Not trying to be cliche about it in any way, shape, or form, but I honestly believe that we all have to have a certain level of Mamba mentality to make our lives and make the ones that we love and care about better each and every single day.
There's one other thing I wanted to praise Kobe Bryant for, and I think it's well deserved. And this is just my personal perspective. We often talk about how certain players transcend generations, and we often apply the generational perspective, so to speak, in the sense of what they did for the game of basketball. We sometimes talk about how Jordan elevated the brand of sneakers, right? With Nike. We talk about how AI elevated the brand of fashion, coinciding hip hop with the NBA, and forcing David Stern, who you alluded to earlier, to embrace the positive affluences of what the hip hop culture meant to not just Black people, but to the greater society, right? Kobe Bryant, let's remember, Kobe Bryant didn't go to college. Kobe Bryant was of basically a handful of people who decided to make that leap to go play for the NBA out of high school. But out of those guys, you can make the argument that Kobe Bryant revolutionized how to be a professional player who can have a global influence on the game and the way that you look at a professional athlete. Let's remember, Kobe Bryant could speak multiple languages. He could go anywhere in the world, and he could be a presence. Not in similarity to the way that we compare Michael Jordan. And I think maybe it does a disservice when we ever try to force that whole comparison of Kobe trying to be like Michael Jordan, this, that, and the third. I think if enough time had been given, allowing Kobe to be that person that he has shown us to be now, we would have been able to far more appreciate the greatness of Kobe Bryant in a different light other than just the Laker faithful. Okay? But Kobe Bryant, in so many ways, showed us that you did not have to go to college to be affluent and professional by learning to embrace the other cultures that are outside of the United States. He, in a way, helped become another catalyst to David Stern's proponents of globalizing the NBA, because now you have a perfect prototype of the future NBA outside of the Michael Jordans, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons, and so forth and so on. Here is a affluent representative of what it would mean to send our players abroad and to go out there and represent the game of basketball, not on the court, but off the court. He did that. Kobe Bryant showed us that you can be educated without having to get just an American education. And he showed African Americans that there were so many other ways for us to get to that point, that it didn't have to solely come down to, I have to get a college degree. Even if my intention is I still want to play professional sports. But it's hard to do that when so many of those guys that are trying fail or don't get to that point. But here you have a bona fide guy who does that, becomes successful, and continues to show that success. He utilizes these tools. And even after his NBA career, he shows us the positive side of things, right? Where he wins an Oscar nomination for a sports docupiece that he does. He has an influence on the WNBA. You know what I mean? Like, so that, again, these are things that I don't think get talked about enough with where Kobe Bryant has had an impact on these things. But I could make the argument that he is one of those people that helped LeBron James evolve. LeBron James now is on a plateau higher as far as what he's able to do from a global aspect to a local aspect with all the charitable works that he does and things of that nature. But I don't think a lot of that would have been foreseeable had they not taken the blueprint of what Kobe Bryant has been doing for all this time.
I don't disagree, at all. And we're in a point now where everything that we talked about a little bit earlier is starting to already come to fruition. Even as we're recording here, Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, has now stated that nobody will ever wear the number 24 ever again in Dallas. And I feel like this is probably going to be something that follows suit, where Jordan's number is retired or around arenas around the world ways, or his jersey hangs in the rafters in a lot of arenas around the world. I think Kobe's number is going to definitely follow suit. And the Mavericks, while they've had a lot of social faux pas in recent years, I think this is something that is definitely class act, first class. And we'll see many other teams follow suit here, I think, with this. As we record, the Grammys are taking place. Alicia Keys, Lizzo, those entities out there honoring the memory of Kobe Bryant as the Grammys are taking place in the Staples Center, with his jerseys hanging up in the rafters as well too. We're not going to see any shortage of respect shown, to the man, and what he meant to players and people around the world, in the business world as well too. I mean, all his business partners that are now left reeling, trying to figure out, what they do without, for lack of a better phrase, the head of the snake, and, not enough as this can be said. And we don't have the depth of reality and understanding to even know what his family is going through. We can't even imagine what Vanessa Bryant is dealing with right now. So I don't want to try to sully that, other than by saying our deepest and sincerest condolences there. I would be interested to see, even outside of the NBA, or not outside the NBA, but what happens at All Star now. What type of tribute and just significant legacy of some sort do they try to put together?
I'm willing to go out on a limb. I'm willing to go out on a limb that like all of, especially the Boston Celtics, I have to assume that they're going to put like a patch or something on the jerseys, for the remainder of this season, honoring or paying tribute to Kobe Bryant. It's really hard to fathom that we don't see something like this, happen or take place. And you know what? I think it should happen. I mean, if it's not already in the works, I would be like totally pissed. Because I just really think that the players themselves would want that anyway. That's just my perspective on it. I would hope that's there instead of those, no disrespect to all of these great companies that funnel money to advertise on jerseys, but I'll for right now I'd rather just see patches of greatness on jerseys moving forward. So
yeah, I mean, again, and things are going to continue to come out one way or another, and everyone has the right to honor him whatever way they seem fit. I'm sure we're going to see all types of plays. We're going to talk about greatest moments on and off the floor. We're going to hear some pretty amazing stories, from those who knew him best, those who played with him. Some of the stuff is just going to come out. We're going to be mind blown and just be like, wow, what truly an individual he was. He was just on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt and Steven Jackson. Chance to listen to that,
I was gonna say at some point we were probably gonna have to have, well, what was your favorite Kobe moment? And obviously my moment is just when I think of Kobe, I just think about Matt Barnes trying to throw that basketball in his face in the
Never
NBA
flinching.
finals and just not even flinching. Just
talk about that on that podcast as well.
Yeah.
And there's tons. I mean, from the silly to the heartbreaking, to whatever. I mean, I can think of a like something. I'll give you a couple. I'll give you a silly moment. In our fantasy league X amount of years ago, I remember trading for Kobe Bryant literally maybe 5 games before he goes for 81. And the guy who trades him to me is just like, what the he can't believe it. Kobe is 81. I get like over 100 plus fantasy points that day or whatever the case would be. And he is just like, this is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even like Kobe like that.
I think that was the day that all trading just ceased, right? Like, I think everything came to a grinding halt with all of this like fantasy trading. And I think that from that point forward, I hated our league. So,
I mean, what are the chances? You just don't know. Like something like that is going to happen. You can't predict that. You know what I mean? And then of course the wars. With the Celtics. And just time after time. Again, I talked about it on one of our more recent shows, and when the all-decade team, and how they started the decade beating the Celtics in the championship, and Kobe's Game 7, which was not memorable, but in terms of his field goal percentage, but the fact that they grit and grind their way through that. And I can even give you one more just from a personal standpoint. Again, I talked about the All-Star situation already, and just remember him being and looking me directly in the eye and answering my question. And for me at that time, it was a poignant moment. I was like, damn, I asked Kobe Bryant a question and he didn't give me snark. He gave me an intelligent answer that was relevant to the situation. But I think one of the ones for me was actually his final game. Um, and I'm Jamaican, bro. I have a lot of side hustles and jobs. And a couple years ago, I was working at CBS Sportsline. We did the CBS tracker, and I remember distinctly, I got to be pretty decent at the job, and some of the bigger games I'd get or whatever. And they're like, "All right, man. Well, you're gonna do the Kobe Bryant game, his Hall of Fame game." And I'm like, I mean, sorry, his last game before he retires. Sure, I appreciate it, whatever. And I just remember, in this small sports room, you know, as he gets, 20, 30, and and like everyone in the sports room is like now huddled around my little 19-inch monitor station where I'm doing and inputting the stats of Kobe Bryant in this final game for CBS Sports. And just like the room being that electric and excited, it's like this mofo, man, only he would go out like this. Like, how is this possible? And I just remember doing that game and the electricity that was in our little room here in South Florida while that was going on. And even me, again, as a longtime Celtics fan and someone who, did not like Kobe Bryant, the player, especially at the time, just had to say, damn, he's great. I mean, what else can you say? And like for somebody to go out the way that he did. And, to me, those are some of the more poignant moments I can share. And there's obviously zillions more out there with those who obviously knew him best and played with him and had a lot more closer interaction than I. But, those are some of the things that stick out to me, bro. Like, again, truly, truly, truly one of the best to ever do it on and off the floor.
Yeah, man. He was just a titan. His desire to play, man, was just really unmatched. And he brought a different perspective of how to being competitive. It's funny. He was one of the last of a dying breed of how athletes treat each other in the throes of competition. We were transitioning. The sports was transitioning in this market friendly feel of, chumming up and, what's it like now? Not, ever since we had the dream team, we all knew that at some point, was it unfathomable that guys like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird could be friends, right? So we knew that at some point, could that be the same case when a Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal get together? Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan could be able to laugh at each other when, a year ago they almost would just cut each other's throats just to get to an NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kobe Bryant was one of the last of a dying breed where he does not see you as a friend, as a compadre, until maybe after he has decided to stop playing basketball. You know what I mean? Like, that has been his persona. And I respect him for that, because most people, you either half in, half out, you're not fully in, you're not fully out. And we always question that with some of the current players and even some of the players that have played during the era of Kobe Bryant that still just never quite got it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's how you had to be. I'm just saying if you weren't fully committed to how you need to be, maybe you do need to be a little bit more like Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you can really understand the magnitude of the moment of how to step up. Kobe was always that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? He's always that type of guy. And, the patented fist pump when he hits a clutch shot. And look, there's a lot of people in the game that I'd say, man, I don't want who having that ball with. And Kobe Bryant was one of them, because even if Kobe's shot was off, he made it look so freaking good that you had to watch until the clock hits 000 for you to feel any sense of security that your team won the game. Because if Kobe had the ball and Kobe has a look, about 90% of the time, you might as well start getting your expletives ready. Might as well start getting your, you know what I'm saying, get your cuss towel ready, because you biting on something. You know what I'm saying? You going Tarkanian at some point, right? Like, that's just how it was with Kobe. for the years that I watched him play. And that's, to me, is where I appreciated the game of basketball more than anything, when you have a player like that. And it wasn't just in the playoffs. It wasn't just, Kobe Bryant was the kind of guy that made you feel like the regular season mattered, Because nowadays, that's all that everyone talks about is the regular season doesn't matter. The teams are just kind of getting themselves ready for the playoffs, this, that, and the third. Kobe Bryant was one of the few guys where even if at the end of this, like when you look at the end of the score, you look at the box scores and you look at the numbers and things, it would look like, yeah, he probably tapered, took a little time off, or maybe the coach sat him down on purpose, whatever. But when you look at the numbers, you look at the highlights, everything made it seem like he took this game as serious as cancer. You know what I'm saying? That's how Kobe was, man. Even if the illusion was that he is making it seem like it wasn't supposed to be important, he made it important. He made it look important. He made it feel important. He made rivalries feel important. You know what I'm saying? We don't get that anymore. That's what I'm going to miss about a guy like Kobe. Because even now, when Kobe Bryant comes to a basketball arena, guys can't go out there just Jimmy Jan John and, putting up a half-ass performance in front of the Mamba. You know what I'm saying? Mamba don't even need to say something. You could just look at his expression on the court. The cameras just zoom right into Kobe. And if his facial expression is like, I am not enamored with this, what do you think that says about the guys that are playing that game right now? They worry more about Kobe's impression of them than what our impression is of what they're doing out there on the basketball court. And that says something. That you command a ton of respect when you can just sit there, with your family watching an NBA game on primetime television, and your facial expression says more than the tweets that are coming out about what people are saying about that basketball game. That is power right there. You know what I'm saying? And there's only a handful of people that I will ever tell you that will ever have that and should always have that. And Kobe Bryant was one of those dudes.
So I think for me, wrapping it up for the time being, I don't think with a person of this magnitude really fully be done, and there are going to be things that we're going to reminisce about and talk about from time to time, and on our segment, we may have to do some sort of Mamba mentality, type segment we bring on every now and then as well too, or just kind of reminiscing on the legacy and greatness of Kobe Bryant. But as I alluded to, right now, our sincerest condolences to the Bryant family, to the rest of our NBA family, who is also reeling still from the loss of David Stern as well. And I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on, some of the Bryant moments. What did he mean to you? What did he mean to those around you? And how are you going to be better? And I hate the fact that this is, I guess, the catalyst and maybe for my next statement, but how are you going to live better? How are you going to embody the Mamba mentality to make those around you better on a day-to-day basis? We want to hear from you. This is bigger than basketball. The Baseline Boys here, we are people first, and we are men of the people. And we have families as well, and we have loved ones. So, and when we do this podcast, it takes time away from loved ones as well. And, we're all embedded in this thing we call the NBA and basketball, but it should never be the first and foremost thing. And we have to live life, and we have to make those around us better as well too. So what are you going to do differently, fans and listeners, to embody the Mamba mentality and live every day to its utmost and fullest?
18-time All-Star, 5-time NBA champion, 12-time on the All-Defensive team, 4-time All-Star MVP, 2-time scoring champ, 15-time All-NBA, 96-97 Rookie of the Year, 2 times Finals MVP. Drafted in the first round, 13th overall in the 1996 NBA draft. Kobe, Black Mamba, Vino, Bryant, you will be missed. I know your presence will still be around us, will still be around the game, and will still be around the culture. But it's going to hurt not seeing that smile, that stash, that goatee, that beard. It's going to be hard not seeing that on a daily basis, and it's going to be hard not seeing how the second act of your life plays out. It was definitely a play that I'm sure myself and my man Shaw would love to sit down and watch, and in the end, give you a standing ovation. But for now, keep everything warm on that side. We definitely are going to miss you on this side. Once again, we'd like to thank everybody for hopping on board with us as we kind of express, our feelings, our thoughts conveyed on this tragic loss. But again, hopefully this puts in perspective the importance of life and being in the moment. And we hope that you were in that moment with us as well.
Man, guys, it's, I can't believe how fast 20 years went by. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And, to be standing here at center court with you guys, my teammates behind me, and appreciating all this, the journey that we've been on. We've been through our ups and been through our downs. And I think the most important part is that we all stayed together throughout. I grew up a diehard Laker fan. Diehard. I mean, I knew everything about every player that's ever played here. So to be drafted and then traded to this organization and to spend 20 years here, I mean, you can't write something better than this. And I'm more proud of the fact that not about the championships, but about the down years, because we didn't run. We played through all that stuff, and we got our championships, and we did it the right way. And all I can do here is just thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the years of support. Thank you guys for all the motivation. Thank you for all the inspiration. And what's funny, the thing that had me cracking up all night long was the fact that I go through 20 years of everybody screaming to pass the ball. And on the last night, they're like, don't pass it. This has been absolutely beautiful, you guys. I can't believe it's come to an end. You guys will always be in my heart. And I sincerely appreciate it. No words can describe how I feel about you guys. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. God, I love you guys. And I love you guys. And to my family, my wife Vanessa, our daughters Natalia and Gianna, thank you guys for all your sacrifice. For all the hours I spent in the gym working and training. And Vanessa, you holding down the family the way that you have. I can't, there's no way that I can thank you enough for that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And what can I say? Mamba out.
For the baseline, Cal Lee, Warren Shaw. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch up with you next time.